The story starts with a story of 1968. It is mainly told about a boy named Jahan Kento. Kento was born when his mother passed away or when he turned 17 years old. His father also passed away. After his father's death, Kento had adopted a cat, but when the news of Kento's father's death reached one of his friends, he adopted Kento or his cat. He was a very famous professor. This first man's name was Koichi, who also had a wife or daughter. Kento started studying electrical engineering in college or taught himself mechanical engineering in Koichi's lab at home. Then one day Koichi and his wife die in a plane crash, after which his daughter Riko takes her uncle Kazuto with him and Kento is left alone with his wife again. Now we see the scene of the year 1995 where scientists have developed such a technology called cold sleep, which just tells the story. Now we see Kento. He has done a lot of work since he was a great scientist, or since 10 years he was working on making a robot. Now when Kento has been working on it, he is also talking about it on TV. Baten ki rahi hai. Then she got a call from her professor Toy who asked her to watch TV, which he had told the TV people about her or even shown her photo. Then his cat tries to go out by opening the door, but when he opens the door, Riko is there. Riko lifts the pet in her hand. Riko often came to meet Pete or Kento by car, or this lab also belonged to her father, or the major stockholder of the company which was investing in Kento's research was Riko's father, i.e. Professor Koichi. Riko sees that Kento is working on plasma battery, which no one else can work on, or this was her dream. Riko is very happy because she also wanted to become an engineer. Then someone comes to his door and he opens the door to see Kento's girlfriend Rin coming in. He sees that the vehicle is driving in a manner which she did not like. Rin was a CA, or she had brought some paper with her, on which she used to kiss, but when she started reading the paper, Rin started kissing her, after which she kissed him without reading. Next day, the boss of the company that provides funding to Mannix, i.e. Reko's uncle, calls him to his office. After the death of Reko's father, his uncle has taken over his father's company. Rin also comes there, puts a paper in front of Kazuto Kento. As Rin takes it, then, basically it is written in it that he is giving all his shares to Rin. Kazuto also gives all the facilities or equipment of his company to Kento. He is worried or even refuses to give money for research of his age. Rin cheated by getting together with Kazuto, whom Kazuto used to give him the money to become Kento's girlfriend. Then, Kento says that you can't do that. If Koichi were alive today, he would never do that, but Kazuto says, it means that we have been investing in you for 10 years but till now you have not made even a single robot, because of you other companies have outlived us. He suddenly remembers Kento, so she runs away from the car and leaves for her lab. After reaching there she drives a van out of her lab. Then when he went inside the lab, everything was scattered in the vehicle. All his research or equipment had been taken away by a doctor. He also took away the research of his plasma battery on which he was working secretly. When Riko comes to meet us, she sees that all the stuff of the lab is scattered. She sees that Kento is drinking. She asks what happened. He doesn't even answer. Then she cleans. It seems as if his hand is cut by the glass of the photo frame, after which Riko falls to his death. She again asks him what happened, but he says that all this is my fault. I have thrown away everything that was important to me. Then you hug him and say that what I did was not important to you. I am with you. I am always with you. Actually she likes Kento and she asks me that I have the power to do anything for you. I will do whatever you tell me. Kento says that you can't do anything but you are still very strong. Even if a person gets slapped or drives away in a dirty vehicle, after leaving the vehicle the person looks like an insurance company sending a person into cold sleep. After that he went to go to the cold slip main. He also wanted to take Pete along with him to the cold slip main, or he wanted to go to the cold sleep main, but Kento kept on sleeping too much, so I will tell the doctor to use it tomorrow. On the other side, we see Riko, who is crying remembering her childhood days. Then when she returns home, she hears her uncle talking to her. Then she wakes up and sees Kento, who has got the complete research of plasma battery so that they can use it in the market by making a patent under their own name and then selling it, while this research has not been started by your father or it has not been completed by anyone. They all hear that Riko is calling Kento so that he can tell the main thing about all these things, but Kento does not answer his phone. Then Kazuto comes on the vehicle. Seeing him, Riko is driving away from the vehicle. After leaving, you can check who she is calling, which will help you find out who she is calling. After which she tells me to stop using it. After which she tells me that I received a call from Kento that he himself is near his death, but if you go from here, you will not be able to see all this. After which Kazuto drives away. It has come. Then when Kento comes to the vehicle, Rin tells him that he has gone to collect the cashew nuts. Kento says that he will tell the main media that you have betrayed him, after which the reputation of the entire company will be spoiled. Just like Rin is talking with his dick or injecting sleep into Kento's neck, making him feel like he is falling down, Kento was also carrying his own bag. It's like when he opens his bag, Pete attacks him. I have given it. Rin runs to kill him, but he runs away from the vehicle. Then Rin sees Kento's car, which has a pet doctor, and runs away from the vehicle, but she doesn't know who is with Kento. We have seen everyone using these. On the other side, a car has stopped near the stop, which looks like a square. Rin gets the approval letter of cold slip from her bag, after which she decides to send in the used vehicle. She reaches the company where she uses cold sleep. Rin saved a lot of tax for our company, then we used it to do all this quickly. There was no problem in getting it done quickly. It kept us running smoothly by turning on our sleeping process. When 30 years go by, Kento sleeps in the sleeping chamber, or when he wakes up after 30 years, the hospital was completely transformed. He does not understand where he is. Then the doctor tells him that he is in 2025. Oh, you have been like this for 30 years then. Then Kento asks the doctor where Pete is. Then the doctor calls out for Pete. Then a man comes to the vehicle. Unfortunately, his name also happens to be Pete. Kento tells the doctor that Pete has a bill, after which they go to find Pete. It seems as if he has fallen into a niche. Then suddenly someone else uses him and suddenly lifts him up. Actually, this pet was not a human being but a humanoid nurse. The doctor suddenly says that you will have to stay here for 5 days. Then a lawyer comes who tells him that we did not know anything about your family. But a girl named Rico often came to meet you, but she did not come, because she took Rico's address from us. Then the next morning when Pete goes to get breakfast for Kento, Kento runs out of the hospital. He is very surprised to see the same city after 30 years, whose life has changed completely in those days. She goes to the side of the road and starts waiting for the taxi. Then Pete comes in the car. He asks her what he is doing here. He has ordered a taxi from our app. She goes to the doctor's taxi, but doesn't see him. In our taxi there is no need for a driver. Pete tells us that this is a fully automatic car, so there is no need for a driver. But Pete seems to be asking me to get out of the used car, or he is saying that you are going to stay with me, but he is saying that I have been ordered to take care of you for 5 days. Both of them have reached Rico's address. The door of his house was opened, or all the contents of the vehicle were scattered. They did not find the vehicle, but Rico was found, who must have been 55 years old or very old. Kento asks us what happened to you and tells us that Kazuto died of diabetes after you started hibernation. Or then a lawyer accused our company of tax evasion and got our company banned. Kento finds out what happened to Rico. Rin tells that on the same day you went into hibernation, there was a huge blast in your lab. Rico was killed in that blast, after which Kento got the news of Rico. The couple is rotating. Then he goes to the seashore and sits, or starts listening to Rico's favorite song. Then Pete's wife comes and sits with him. After this, both of them go to the bathroom. Kent asks Pete to take off his shirt. He wants to see how Pete works and what technology he is using, where he sees the plasma battery in his walk. The one who made us. After which both of them go to the library and find out which robot like Pete is working in which company or where it is registered, where they find out about Aladdin Company. So both of them go to meet the chairman of Aladdin Company, but the humanoid robot receptionist sitting there does not allow them to meet the chairman, but tells them that I work here or that I have made plasma batteries. After she scans his eyes but still doesn't get any link from Kento's company, Pete tries to impress a receptionist in full view, but she still doesn't let him in. So the first receptionist who is called from the chairman's side asking him to send his pass. After which she passes both of them to the chairman of Aladdin Company, but the chairman looks at Kento and seems to be very excited, so he runs to pass him or uses his name as Tsuboi. Kento asks him if we have met before and how do you know me. Then he tells him that he has inspired me to learn to make robots, after which he shows him a magazine, but since Tsuboi tells that when you came to my restaurant on TV he took your autograph. The first robot made by Kento is also kept on the vehicle. Tsuboi asks Kento to give his invention or plasma battery to the company, but Kento thinks that when did he do this? Then she asks us whether you have come to meet this Professor Toy. He tells that the professor was jailed for stealing money from the university for his research. It is heard that he has made a time machine. As Kento and Pete drive away, Kento realizes that he never made a plasma battery or he never heard of the Aladdin Company before. The name of his company was Mannix. Then he realized who it was who continued his research after Kento went into cold sleep, but he had no idea as to who it could be, and who Rico had also killed that day. Then he calls Tsuboi and asks him to come to his office, where he gives the list of old stockholders of the company to Mannix, where Mannix gives all the shares of the company to a man named Taro Sato, or the same man started the Aladdin industry. After this they also found out that the first inventor of plasma battery was Kento, or he also created robots like Pete, but he does not even remember when he used them. Whose woman has been like this for 30 years? Then the professor thinks of you, after which he walks to meet him. The professor goes mad with happiness when he sees you, or says to us that he has been waiting for you for a long time. He is the doctor in his lab. Let's go to the world. They have taken a time machine. Kento tells the professor to send me the application 30 years back, because he tells us that you will have to go back in time, so that you can fund my research or establish Aladdin Company. Professor has given all the gold bars to Kento. He wants to use them to establish a company to invest in it or shake the main funding of Professor's research. Kento gets ready to use those gold bars as a vehicle, but Professor likes, "Hi, I am on the time machine." Pete also goes along with it. Now we see a blast happening in 1995. This blast reaches Kento or Pete in the past, but Kento has already lost consciousness. Then when he wakes up, he is in a lawyer's house. He sleeps with him. The lawyer brought it to us, and after exchanging it, the money was credited to his bank account. This lawyer's name was Taro Sato, whom Kento made the owner of Aladdin Company in future. Pete had told me to do all this, or he had told all the things to me. Taro Sato's wife was very happy to meet us, and those two people came from the future then. Professor Pacey Lekar drives away in the same vehicle. After this, Kento again visits Sato's house and continues his work. Then he says to Sato that they should expose the Apmanix Company or its activities. These people have stolen a lot of tax. I am still doing it. Or register my robot or plasma battery patient with a new company, or the name of the robot should be Pete. You can name our company Aladdin. Along with all of them, Kento continues his research or spends a few days with him, or it was the last day. It was the day when Kazuto or Rin had fired Kento from his company. It was the time when Kento met us and returned to his home. This is what happened when the doctor came out of his lab and Pete appeared in front of him. The van driver throws the vehicle and runs away with all the money, while in the future Kento had completed his research. After that, he goes to Kajuto's house and sees that 9% of the people have been injected with sleep. He or she is lying on the back of the pet, but the doctor of the future runs away from the car that saw Kento's car. He sees that the vehicle goes to his lab, where he meets Rico and sees that he has been taken. Then the doctor also arrives at the vehicle with all his research. After that, he goes to his lab. He uses Kazuto. I also brought that paper from home on which I gave it to you to do my homework. Kento opens the gas in the pure lab and sets the vehicle on fire, due to which his entire lab gets destroyed, but Rico escapes, as he had told her to use it in the future, but Rico gets killed in the blast of his lab. After this, he tells everything to the rest, or then he goes to the house of the 7 people using the vehicle. There is no one left for the 7, so he hands them over to them. Then she tells Rico that she must know me. Rico tries to convince her to use it, but she says that you have studied well or have become an engineer, but she also takes her cat's pet along with her. We go back to the same scene when Kento had woken up from deep sleep, and Pete had come to meet him and the doctor had come to meet him. After Wahine Kuch Salon, Rico became a robot inventor. She made robots or plasma batteries to work on her research. Here Kento finds out that Rico has been in cold sleep for 20 years. After 10 years of Kento going into cold sleep, Kento runs past him, where both of them laugh looking at each other, or so, with whom this story comes to an end.